The entertainment industry looked a lot different in the 1950s. Names like Lucille Ball, Jack Benny, and Red Skelton were household names, not because of social media, but by way of families sitting and watching their favorite programs together. Not just watching, though, but listening. Though he wouldn't hit the national airwaves until 1955, A Son of North Dakota went on the air in California in 1951 with what would become known as his champagne music. That music and the man leading it would eventually capture the eyes and ears of the nation, not to mention its feet. Although now only seen in reruns, 70 years later, we'll speak with those who knew Lawrence Welk best to find out why he's still seen on television, which fans consider wonderful.
Thank you, boys and girls, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
That signature accent, the way he swung his baton, and of course, the sounds and steps of his brightly outfitted musical family. For these reasons and more, once upon a time, the studio audience and now the home audience continued to tap their toes watching The Lawrence Welk Show. But before being seen in millions of homes across the nation, Lawrence Welk could be seen here with his family at his home in Strasbourg. In 1903, Lawrence Welk was born to German parents who came from Russia. He would leave the 4th grade and work full-time on the farm and didn't learn to speak English until he was 21. Growing up, Lawrence decided he wanted to become a musician and asked his father to buy him the instrument he would play for the rest of his life.
But I wanted a good accordion because the reeds kept breaking on those cheap accordions all the time. And I told my father if he would buy me the real good accordion, the best accordion that's available, I would stay on the farm until I was 21 years of age. And I waited for 4 years for that day to come up.
He would then begin working to make a name for himself, as a future Welk Show star explains.
For years and years, he was a territorial band. He would go right down the center of America back in the 30s and 40s and 50s and found out what people liked and their reflection of what they were interested in.
They were interested in the sound of his champagne music, and in 1951, Lawrence Welk appeared on local California television station KTLA and would become a hit. But despite gaining attention and eventually debuting on nationwide television in 1955, Lawrence would never forget his North Dakota roots.
We love the people that we get from here, and I have hopes that in the future, if we continue our show, if we will be so lucky, that we can always include a few people from North Dakota. This is still where they have the best people.
He came out and he wanted to walk everything. He wanted to see everything. And
one thing I remember, he'd make it a point when he came out here, he'd climb the steps to the upstairs. That's where the bedroom was.
Helping to preserve those stairs and the entire Welk homestead is the State Historical Society of North Dakota.
We and Pioneer Heritage before us have put in a lot of work to try to maintain it as close to about 1924 as we can.
Aside from the house, there are some other things original to the site, like the outhouse, and somewhat original is the barn. While the site supervisor says it's important to maintain this property, he says it also reflects the qualities of families like the Welks and so many others.
I think he really stresses how North Dakota views the world, and we are true. We don't tell you false stuff. We show you what you're going to get. We aren't going to dance around the subject. You're going to get what we want, and that is the ethics, that's the morals, that's religious. We are who we are, and I think he really brought that throughout his show.
Welk's nieces say he tried to return home as much as he could and show his gratitude to his home state. On this return home in June 1958, he made it a point to bring some family and friends with him, including his son, Lawrence Welk Jr., and Irish tenor, Joe Feeney.
Well, Joe is Irish, and he wanted to know if you'd be willing to listen to an Irish song in this community. I would say that we'll listen to an Irish song. If you can sing in German, you'll go over better. Around the world I search for you.
But Lawrence Welk couldn't stay for long. He'd have to get back to his show and entertain the nation. Tomorrow night, we'll hear from some Lawrence Welk Show stars, including Bobby Burgess and Kathy Lennon, among others, on why they believe Lawrence Welk's legacy continues to live on.